And so to Melbourne, Australia for round one of the Formula One World Championship.
I think Michael Schumacher's going to win.
David Coulthard.
We reckon Michael Schumacher.
Jacques Villeneuve should win this race.
Mika, I think. I think he's got it.
Before qualifying, no one knew which team would be the quickest.
You have to be on the same piece of tarmac on the same day in the same temperature to really know how people perform. So in many ways it means that Saturday qualifying should be a really exciting time for everyone, for the teams, the people here, and for the spectators at home to really find out who has got it right for the first race.
As it was, the McLarens dominated the qualifying session with Hakkinen and Coulthard on the front row, the team to beat.
The cars have improved so much to last year's cars. I mean, last year our car at this stage was really dreadful. I mean, it was very bad, and now we have a real racing car, and that's why we can do that fast. McLaren obviously has even a better racing car and a better tyre.
Race day at Albert Park. Fans are treated to a panoramic view of the city. On pole twice previously in Melbourne, defending champion Villeneuve has to settle for fourth today. The large crowd are not the only ones to be blown away by the speed of the McLarens. Hakkinen is on pole with teammate Coulthard alongside him at the head of the grid. Schumacher starts third, a worrying 0.7 of a second adrift. As the lights go out, the 1998 season gets underway. The McLarens are getting a good start with Hakkinen taking the lead at the first corner. There's not much room as the pack threads their way through. Barrichello's having a slow start to the season. The Brazilian has a gearbox problem. Schumacher tries to outbrake Coulthard, but the Scotsman keeps his line, holding off the German. There's already a significant gap. Hakkinen, Coulthard, Michael Schumacher, Villeneuve, Giancarlo Fisichella and Johnny Herbert make up the top six. Ralph is having a dive around the outside of Magnussen, but they're both off as Takagi's Tyrrell follows them in sympathy. More trouble for the Schumacher family as Michael pulls onto the grass on lap 6. Smoke is pouring from the back of his Ferrari, and he shakes his head in disbelief as he realizes that his race is over. What a disastrous start to his season. The Flying Finn is at the front of the field, whilst Fisichella is putting some serious pressure on Villeneuve as they approach turn 3. But Jacques has it all under control, calmly closing the door. Take it easy, Fizzy. Lap 24 and race leader Mika Hakkinen is coming in for his first scheduled stop. And a smooth start to the year for the McLaren pit crew. Coulthard's turn now, sliding wide as he enters the pits. First-class service for the Scotsman too. He's sent on his way and is rejoining the circuit in second position behind Hakkinen. The Schumacher brothers are left as disappointed spectators, while Villeneuve looks as though he's trying to join them, taking to the grass. Complete domination by the McLaren team as Hakkinen, who is in first, and Coulthard, who is in second, come around to lap the Williams of reigning world champion Jacques Villeneuve. In third is Frentzen, in fourth is Irvine. This one will be completely down to the pit crews. The Williams boys keep Heinz Harald in front of Eddie, but Fisichella is now in third. Confusion at McLaren. Hakkinen's arriving in the pit lane. His pit crew nowhere to be seen as he's waved through, and Coulthard takes over the lead. Fisichella's podium chances are gone as he retires with rear wing support failure. Frentzen is in third and goes through Coulthard, who has now lapped the entire field. 3 laps to go and Coulthard is slowing. He's letting Hakkinen through. Mika is into the lead at Albert Park. Herbert is doing everything he can to steal 5th from Villeneuve, but Jacques is not surrendering this close to home. Magic in Melbourne for McLaren. Hakkinen takes victory. Coulthard is second and Frentzen, an entire lap down, is third.
The overall result was what I wanted to be, but during the race there was some confusion, and that caused me to come one extra stop, and it was purely misunderstanding in the radio communication.
Round 2, the Interlagos circuit, Sao Paulo, Brazil. The home track of Fittipaldi, Piquet and Senna. Little advice is required for Hakkinen. He's on pole. Coulthard slips into second again, with Frentzen, the best of the rest, on the second row, in third. Lose the lights and the power is down. There's no holding the McLarens, but a poor start by Schumacher, who is being passed by Irvine and Wirtz. As Häkkinen leads Coulthard into the first corner, Michael Schumacher dives down the inside of Wirtz, approaching the centre S. Ralf Schumacher has overtaken himself and ends his day in the gravel. Villeneuve now attempts to follow Schumacher past Wirtz, but he closes the door. Häkkinen is leading from Coulthard, Frentzen, Irvine, Schumacher, Wirtz and Villeneuve. The Ferrari crew watch as their drivers race side by side down the pit straight. Schumacher is getting past Irvine to take 4th position. Patrick Head is keeping a close eye on the opposition. The McLarens are clocking impressive lap times. Michael Schumacher's Ferrari is being held up by Frentzen as they battle for 3rd place. Schumacher's pushing hard as he comes in early for his first pit stop, escaping the traffic. While Häkkinen is leading the race convincingly. With fresh tyres, Schumacher wastes no time passing Fisichella's Benetton. Heinz Harald is watching exactly how it's done. Now it's his turn, taking his Williams into the points. 3rd place Wirtz will have to watch his mirrors as Schumacher and Frentzen close in. Lap 45 and Frentzen's in for his 2nd stop. A new set of good years for the German, and he's on his way. Wirtz is in. Wirtz is out. Frentzen goes past as Alexander runs wide onto the curbs. The leader, Mika Häkkinen, is lapping Villeneuve for the 2nd race in succession. Coulthard is 2nd. McLarens are dominating. Lap 53 and Schumacher's in for his final stop. But there's a problem. Michael stalled the engine. There's an agonising wait for the frustrated German. They've got it started though, and he boots the throttle, coating the pit lane with rubber as he leaves. Frentzen and Wirtz are bearing down. The Austrian takes the inside line approaching the corner. A clinical passing manoeuvre as Schumacher exits the pits to retain 3rd place. The McLarens are pushing their Bridgestones to the maximum. And Häkkinen makes it 2 in a row, winning the Brazilian Grand Prix from Coulthard with Schumacher a full minute behind in 3rd.
The Brazilian circuit is a little bit tougher because it is anti-clockwise. It's quite a lot bumpier track and the cars are sliding more. But so it's a bit harder work than in Melbourne.
Harder work or not, Häkkinen, Coulthard and McLaren make it look all too easy. Another McLaren 1-2 in Brazil. Michael Schumacher opens his account with the 2 Benetton boys finishing 4th and 6th. Frentzen into the points again. Schumacher has it then. The Ferrari fans are out in force for the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola in Italy. David Coulthard's on pole again with Mika Häkkinen beside him on the front row of the grid. But the majority of the huge crowd have come to see one man, Michael Schumacher, who starts 3rd today. Lights out, and they're ready to go. The 2 McLarens followed by the 2 Ferraris. Problems for Wirtz though, he's dropping back. There's trouble at the back of the field. There goes Barrichello's rear wing across the circuit. What happened, Paul Stewart?
Obviously, Jan must have been behind Rubens because it was Rubens' rear wing that's come undone and Jan's front wing. Very disappointing and quite really not what we need right now.
Coulthard is leading, closely pursued by Häkkinen, Michael Schumacher, Villeneuve and Irvine. Lap 2 and Damon's in the pits for a new nose after clipping Wirtz. Back to the action at the front and David Coulthard already has a comfortable gap to Mika in 2nd. Hill's back in the thick of it, edging his Jordan past Nakano's Bernardi. Whilst McLaren pilot Mika Häkkinen has a problem. Team boss Ron Dennis is calling him in. The Finn has a broken gearbox and pulls in for good. Fisichella's having an off, hitting the tyre barriers hard. Fortunately, he's okay. Coulthard is looking to lap Diniz as the Brazilian's engine fails. A terminal problem for Wirtz.
We have a problem in the start. He got stuck in 3rd gear and it damaged the engine.
Lap 27 and things are hotting up. The end of Nakano's race. Eddie Irvine can certainly stand the heat as a charging Villeneuve pursues him for 3rd. Riding with the Irishman now as he runs offline and back on track. Hill passes Salo's Arrows for 10th place. Eddie Irvine enters the pits just behind 3rd place Villeneuve. A quick stop by the Ferrari crew, but they're in a flap at Williams. Villeneuve is forced to concede a position, and Patrick Head is furious the fuel flap wouldn't open. 14 laps to go, and there goes Coulthard, leading by 21 seconds. Schumacher has just set the fastest lap, though. Can he catch the McLaren? The Mugen engine ends Hill's eventful race early. Coulthard is still out in front. But Ron Dennis is keeping a close eye on the catching Ferrari of Michael Schumacher, who is just 6 seconds behind with 1 lap remaining. David Coulthard is rounding the last few corners now. Schumacher's not giving up though, chasing hard to the end. Tense times in the garage, as David Coulthard takes his first win of the season, followed closely by Michael Schumacher in second, to the jubilation of the Tifosi. Irvine takes third with Villeneuve fourth, just behind. Hakkinen is happy for his teammate, who deserved the win after a very strong showing.
Today our car was running quicker, and I think that's shown by the fact that we were able to open such a big gap before the pit stops. But I think we had enough in hand that it would be very difficult for Michael to get close to us.
The sweet taste of victory for Coulthard, who will be raring to go for the next encounter. A great win for the Scot in Italy, and 10 valuable points towards the championship battle. The two Williams and the Sauber of Jean Alesi round off the top 6. Barcelona in sunny Spain is the venue for the 5th round of the Formula One World Championship. The spectators and marshals are enjoying the weather, while Mika Hakkinen enjoys his 3rd pole position of the season. Coulthard makes it another all-McLaren front row, with Michael Schumacher in 3rd. King Juan Carlos of Spain welcomes actor Anthony Quinn to the Grand Prix. Adrenaline pumping as the 21 drivers race off the grid. Hakkinen and Coulthard are cleanly away, but a poor start by Michael Schumacher allows Fisichella and Irvine to get past him. Into Elf, turn 1, Hakkinen leads Coulthard as Irvine takes Fisichella for 3rd. On board with Michael Schumacher, but the young Italian closes the door. With the two McLarens beginning to pull away, Ferrari and Benetton lead the pursuit. Frenson's lost it, but he's managed to keep the engine running. What happened? It looks as if he made contact with Alesi while sparring for position. Hakkinen with a huge gap to Coulthard already. He's flying. A double blow for Arrows as Diniz and Salo's engines both let go simultaneously. Terrible luck for Tom Walkinshaw. Irvine 3rd is in for a pit stop on lap 25, and Fisichella 4th is right behind him. The race is on. The two teams pitted against each other, and Ferrari win. Two laps later now, and Michael Schumacher is joining the pit lane pandemonium. A professional job by his crew see the German ace out in 3rd, and in front of Irvine, who helped his teammate by holding Fisichella back. At nearly 200 miles per hour, Fisichella is looking around the outside of Irvine into turn 1. Giancarlo turns in, contact, off they go. The dust may take a while to settle on this one, as the hot Italian remonstrates with Eddie. No such problems for Mika Hakkinen. The Finn has the track all to himself out front. An unscheduled stop for Schumacher, allowing Wirtz to move into 3rd. Michael is receiving a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as the Ferrari rejoins to start lap 41 in 4th place with some serious catching to do. Benetton's Alexander Wirtz is in for his crucial second stop. But there are anxious faces at Jordan. Damon Hill's engine has had enough for today. Lap 48 and Schumacher calls on the Ferrari pit crew again. Barrichello in 5th is doing everything he can to hold off the reigning world champion. Schumacher owes his pit crew a big thank you. He's managed to slip ahead of Wirtz, the Austrian, now in 4th. Coulthard has narrowed the gap to Hakkinen to 9 seconds, but it's Mika's day as he delightedly takes the checkered flag for the 3rd time this year.
I would say with the lead like that and victory like that, you could say the victory was easy, but it's actually never easy. All the time you have to make sure about your concentration. You have to really be careful. Overtaking Pac Marquez was very enjoyable, but also quite demanding.
Monte Carlo in the tiny Principality of Monaco is home to the rich and famous, with an atmosphere no other circuit on the calendar can match. Also unmatched is Mika Häkkinen at home on pole. Coulthard is in second, and after fourth on the grid last year, Fisichella has improved to third in 98, ahead of a disappointed Schumacher who starts fourth. Concentration on the lights as the race gets underway. The McLarens are off the grid well and leading the field cleanly through the first corner. On board with Villeneuve taking us through Saint-Devote and up the hill. Häkkinen, Coulthard, Fisichella, Schumacher, Wirtz and Frentzen making up the top six. Häkkinen's building up a lead and is in complete control. DC is playing catch-up, whilst Fisichella is battling to hold off Michael Schumacher. Lap 10 into Lowe's hairpin and Irvine wants sixth from Frentzen. Unconventional, Eddie, but he's through, although Heinz Harald is finished. Coulthard's coming out of the tunnel, the Mercedes engine blowing, ending his race in spectacular style. Engine designer Mario Ilian can only look on. Michael Schumacher has passed Giancarlo Fisichella in the first round of pit stops as Coulthard walks home. Häkkinen is getting away with a scrape at Rascasse. Lap 38 and Michael Schumacher has caught Wirtz as Alexander is held up by the pack. A passing opportunity for the Ferrari driver, who's giving Wirtz a nudge rounding Lowe's. The Austrian is not giving up though, and repasses going into Portier running wide. Michael has another go. A harder knock this time as the German goes through. On the limit of adhesion, the Ferrari looks in trouble, and Jean Todt knows it. Schumacher is into the pits, a problem at the rear of the car. A technical knockout according to the mechanics, and Michael is getting out. Ross Brawn doesn't look so sure though, and is telling the Ferrari number 1 to get back into the hot seat. Meanwhile, back on track, Mika is serene, streets ahead of the rest. After a lengthy delay, Schumacher is rejoining the fray way down. Wirtz is losing it coming out of the tunnel, and that's a heavy impact into the Armco. The Austrian is helpless as his Benetton careers out of control and into the tyre barrier. Thankfully, he's all right. Lap 60 and Fisichella's up to second, but he drops it at Rascasse, spinning violently. The Benetton driver has managed to keep the engine going. No damage done, to the relief of the pit crew. Disappointment for Alesi as the Frenchman's gearbox fails whilst in fifth. Mika Salo is storming along in fourth. A great result for the Arrows team. The troublesome Sauber bringing Jean to his knees. Häkkinen, meanwhile, has brought the entire field to its knees. It's Mika's first win in the Principality and another win for the mighty McLaren. Giancarlo Fisichella takes second in front of a jubilant Benetton team. Schumacher ends a dreadful day tangling with Deniz on the last lap. Pedro is in the points. But it's undoubtedly Häkkinen who is the shining star of today.
Winning Monte Carlo is always a dream, always has been a dream. I think most of the Grand Prix drivers' victory of the Monte Carlo is something very special for them, and this now happened to me, and it's just hard to believe it yet.
The Gilles Villeneuve circuit in Montreal, Canada welcomes Formula One's own version of horsepower. It's Jacques Villeneuve's hometown, but McLaren's front row. David Coulthard is first, Mika Häkkinen is second, and Michael Schumacher is third, hoping to shut down the McLarens. Tension mounts as the revs climb. Lights out, and they're away. Ralf Schumacher has stalled his Jordan, whilst brother Michael is taking second off Häkkinen and pressuring Coulthard. Huge shunt. Alexander Wirtz takes to the air over Alesi. Jarno Trulli is showing the shaken Benetton driver the way back to the pit lane. The replay shows the Austrian losing it on the approach to the centre hairpin and barrel rolling across the gravel track. A miraculous escape. Jean Alesi, Jarno Trulli and Alexander Wirtz are in their spare cars, but the unfortunate Johnny Herbert starts from the pit lane. Take two. Coulthard is off the line well, but Häkkinen has a problem. No gears as the field stream past him. Ralf Schumacher is out of shape, losing it in front of the stampeding pack. Hill is through safely, but not so lucky as Alesi as Trulli double parks. Eddie Irvine is another victim as the race continues. Schumacher is drawing alongside Fisichella as they approach the casino hairpin. Taking the outside line, he's moving into second position behind the McLaren of David Coulthard. Irvine's three-wheeler manages to reach the pit to replace the damaged Goodyear, but it's the end of the road for Mika. Irvine rejoins at the back of the field whilst the safety car is departing as lap 6 begins. Coulthard is leading Schumacher, Fisichella and Villeneuve. Michael's filling DC's mirrors, as Deniz loses control of his arrows, taking to the grass as he quite literally lays down a hazard for the others. The safety car is employed again to restore order. Michael Schumacher is pushing Coulthard and his McLaren to the limit now, and DC's throttle linkage gives up, letting Schumacher through into the lead. Lap 18, and it's a heavy impact for Salo, throwing debris in all directions. Schumacher's taken a canny pit stop and is racing out with Frentzen bearing down. He gives his fellow countryman no room, and the Williams has nowhere to go. Jock's clearly furious as Heinz Harald shows his disgust and Patrick Head remonstrates with a Ferrari pit wall. Oliver Gavin's safety car heads race leader Fisichella, Villeneuve and Schumacher. Lap 23 and the race is on. Villeneuve goes for the lead in his home Grand Prix, smoking his Goodyears. He's outbraked himself and takes a trip across the gravel. A fast-acting pit crew are ready to replace both front and rear wings, but it's ruined his race chances. Just over halfway and Fisichella is leading from Michael Schumacher, but the German must serve a stop-go penalty for his part in the incident with Frentzen. Michael waits, his punishment served, as Giancarlo leads the Canadian Grand Prix. Schumacher's come out right behind his old sparring partner Damon Hill. Not for the faint-hearted as Hill attempts to keep his second place, but Michael takes it. Lap 44 and Fisichella's in for his only pit stop. Schumacher is taking the opportunity to put in some scorching laps. Hill retires with an electrical problem, leaving Eddie frustrated. Schumacher's in for his second scheduled stop. It's a fast one, bringing him out in front of Fisichella's Benetton to take the lead. Irvine is continuing a remarkable run through the field, holding off Wirtz for third as Michael Schumacher wins the Canadian Grand Prix.
We knew we were close to the McLarens this weekend. I had a good race up to David's problem. I don't know what strategy he was on, but I was definitely faster, but there was no way to get by. It was obviously a good situation for me to score the full points and them no points to catch up in the championship.
Michael Schumacher celebrates 10 championship points. Magny-Cours and the French Grand Prix for round 8 of the World Championship. With the World Cup in full swing around the country, it's the place to be for sport. On pole is Mika Häkkinen looking to defend his championship lead. Second on the grid, Michael Schumacher is focusing on passing, while David Coulthard in third still has victory as his goal. Kick-off in France, but the amber grid lights are lit, signalling an aborted start. Verstappen is stranded on the grid as the drivers race off. An unfortunate start for Jos, who replaces the underperforming Magnussen at the Stewart Ford team. The field comes around to take their grid positions as the Dutchman resumes his composure. Lights out! Irvine and Villeneuve are getting a good start. Schumacher is leading. Eddie is passing Häkkinen for second as Villeneuve gets by Coulthard. DC's now demonstrating the Mercedes engine's power advantage as he retakes Villeneuve's Williams for fourth. Ross Brawn is telling Schumacher to put his foot down, and the German is responding brilliantly. Lap 19 and Irvine in second is attracting the attention of the two McLarens. Häkkinen dives up the inside, misses his down change and loses his back end, right in front of team boss Ron Dennis. But he pulls it together and resumes in fourth. Hard chargers Ralf Schumacher and Alexander Wirtz touch, racing for position. But it's the German who comes off worse, having to pit for a new steering arm. A double blow for Jordan. Hill's arriving with a terminal hydraulic problem. Damon's race is over, but Ralf continues. Riding with Coulthard as he weaves past Irvine, a beautifully executed move. Lap 32, Fisichella is up the inside of Alesi, a little too optimistic, damaging his front wing and suffering the indignity of being lapped by race leader Michael Schumacher. Second place David Coulthard is in for his second stop on lap 55. There's a problem with the fuel hose, and he's stationary for 37 seconds with no fuel taken. A distraught Ron Dennis is trying to sort out the problem with the equipment. Irvine, now in second, fends off Mika Häkkinen. while Herbert's season nearly goes from bad to worse, just missing Trulli. DC's in again. His McLaren is running on fumes as his team tried desperately to get the hose in, but there's more problems. Finally, some success. A dispirited Ron Dennis knows it's too late. Eddie Irvine is soaking up the pressure from Häkkinen. No pressure on Schumacher though, out in front all day to take the 30th Grand Prix victory of his career and his third of the season. Irvine and Häkkinen are still racing to the very end. One corner to go and Häkkinen has just one last stab up the inside. But second goes to Irvine, Mika settling for third. The Ferrari team celebrate as they take their first 1-2 since the days of Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost.
I was just crossing finger for Eddie that he can stay ahead. First for the team and second obviously for my own, and taking away some points of Mika.
Schumacher and Ferrari are looking dangerous as the season develops. Formula One flies into Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. Music to McLaren's ears as Mika Häkkinen takes his 6th pole of the season. He's blown the Ferrari of Schumacher back into second on the grid, and with wild conditions prevailing, Villeneuve is happy to be in third. All eyes are on the lights as the Battle of Britain begins. Off they race, starting on a damp track, and Alesi's made a tremendous start from 8th on the grid. He's passed Frentzen, Villeneuve and Irvine to take 4th. Häkkinen retains his advantage, leading Schumacher, Coulthard, Alesi, Villeneuve and Frentzen. Lap 5, Coulthard is pulling alongside Schumacher. Into the chicane, side by side. Coulthard's reward is second. Norbert Haug is euphoric. Ralph, who started at the back, is now slicing his way through the field. As is Eddie, after being stuck in third gear at the start, losing early places, but he's picking them up now, passing Frentzen for 5th. That's Hill, spinning out of his home Grand Prix on lap 14, and adding another blow to Eddie Jordan's miserable and so far pointless season. Häkkinen's opening out a considerable lead, but also opening are the heavens. With the Saubers now, and 5th place Herbert, who is on a one-stop strategy, is leading two-stopper Alesi. Johnny let Jean through are the pit orders, and he's waving the Frenchman by, but he has to take a hand off the wheel and he's off. The British driver sits there helpless and is understandably a little upset. Häkkinen still leading, but Coulthard's right behind him. Mika Salo is caught out on lap 27. His race is over. Conditions are deteriorating and Häkkinen has zero visibility as he comes round to lap the back of the field. Coulthard flies off the circuit, reversing at high speed across the gravel. Lap 38 is his last. DC's not the only one caught out as Villeneuve, Shinji Nakano and Benetton's Alexander Wurz lose traction, but all managing to rejoin. As Häkkinen charges through bridge, the ultra-fast right-hander, and he's lost it across the gravel, across the grass, and lucky to rejoin without losing the lead. With the rain relentless, the safety car's out, and Häkkinen's 38-second lead is washed away. Oliver Gavin in his Mercedes pulls off the track as Häkkinen in his Mercedes looks to rebuild his advantage over a determined Michael Schumacher in second. Häkkinen is under enormous pressure now and he's blown it, running wide at Beckett's. Schumacher is the new race leader. More pressure for Mika as the second Ferrari of Irvine menacingly looms in. They can sense victory at Ferrari, but there's another twist. That's a penalty notice for Michael Schumacher. The Ferrari ace is continuing, putting in some sensational laps, and he crosses the finishing line whilst coming in for his penalty stop. Meanwhile, Häkkinen takes the checkered flag on the track. Michael's 10 seconds are up and he's off. Confusion reigns. No one's quite sure who's won in these unprecedented circumstances. But Michael Schumacher is declared the winner.
It was easy up to the pace car. I wasn't fast enough. Couldn't hold the pace off two guys in front of me. Obviously I slowed down because there was no point pushing. It was very dangerous and I was quite happy that the pace car came out actually.
An amazing result for Schumacher, who had surely kissed his chances goodbye. The A1 ring in Austria and round 10 of the Formula One World Championship sees the first wet qualifying session since Belgium 1994, when Barrichello took pole position for Jordan.
It's already clear.
It was nearly 30 minutes before anyone ventured out. Takagi was not the only one caught out by the treacherous track. World champion Jacques Villeneuve sliding down to 11th on the grid. Diniz ending up in the gravel and 13th, whilst Fisichella is just a passenger in his own car. Conditions proving too much also for the Rainmeister, Michael Schumacher having to start the race from 4th. Even the peerless McLaren was affected, Häkkinen having to fight to stay on track for 3rd. In the end, the weather produced a radical grid, with Alesi taking provisional pole just seconds from the end of the session. But the flying Fisichella was causing uneasy times in the Sauber garage. Giancarlo Benetton displacing the French driver on the very last lap of the session, taking his first Formula One pole position to the disappointment of the Sauber crew. The Italian's superbly driven and well-timed lap was met by tears of joy from his girlfriend, while Jean was not too disgruntled with 2nd on the grid. Race day and blue skies, the spectators are contented, as is Fisichella at the front. Buoyant Brazilian Barrichello starts a competitive 5th, whilst David Coulthard looks around in unfamiliar territory back in 14th. As the heat begins to rise, the Austrian Grand Prix is under starter's orders. Wheel spinning. Off the line with Alesi, not the start the French Sicilian wanted, as Häkkinen slips by to take 2nd. Now alongside Fisichella in 1st place going into turn 1. That's Takagi losing it on the approach, and he touches Tuero, and Herbert has to take avoiding action. Häkkinen is leading Schumacher. Diniz slides into his teammate and Coulthard. Salo attempts to recover and does a donut into David's front wing. DC's in for repairs, but Salo's race is over. With just 1 lap under yellow, the safety car pulls off and the race is on. Häkkinen leads, Michael Schumacher is 2nd, Fisichella is down to 3rd, Barrichello's up to 4th, and Alesi is 5th. On the outside as they run downhill approaching the turn, Schumacher is braking late, going for it, but runs offline, allowing Fisichella into 2nd. Hard break for Barrichello and team boss Jackie Stewart as Rubens retires with brake problems. Michael Schumacher is wasting no time and steals back 2nd off Giancarlo and is back in pursuit of Mika, cruising up to the back of the McLaren, now only 3/10 behind. David Coulthard is slicing his way through the field. Lap 16 and Frentzen has a problem. There's smoke pouring out of the back of his Williams and his Mechachrome is blowing up in spectacular fashion. Schumacher is closing in on Häkkinen. He runs wide, bouncing over the sand and losing his wing. Front row drivers Fisichella and Alesi are battling for 5th now, approaching Remus, and both are eliminated on the spot. Peter Sauber is not amused. A brilliant qualifying is wasted. Back on track with Jacques Villeneuve now, albeit temporarily, as he takes to the grass, but manages to keep it going. Mika Häkkinen is pushing his Bridgestone-shod McLaren to the limit, as his teammate Coulthard runs wide. A recovering Michael Schumacher is now up with brother Ralph, and they almost touch as they battle for 4th. A relieved Eddie Jordan. He doesn't give up though, with Ralph holding him up for a further 4 laps before Michael eventually dives down the inside and gets past. Only 5 seconds from Irvine. And Schumacher passes Eddie for 3rd with only 3 laps to go. But it's Mika's day, taking his 5th win of the season. Coulthard coming from the back of the grid to 2nd in an incredible drive. McLaren are jubilant.
It was excellent victory. Team played a very important part of this race, and I think we made excellent tactics, and we had a 1 fuel stop race, and that was definitely ideal for me, and I was able to go flat out all the time. I did not have any problems really.
Häkkinen and McLaren are back on top. Long straights characterise Hockenheim, the circuit hosting the German Grand Prix and round 11 of the '98 championship. Boris Becker is not the only one who can serve an ace, advantage to Häkkinen, who starts from pole. The German crowd, though, are predominantly Michael Schumacher fans. David Coulthard is lining up 2nd on the grid with Jacques Villeneuve in a competitive 3rd. There's not much for the Ferrari fans to sing about, or Michael to smile about. He starts 9th. Keep the revs up and drop the clutch. Schumacher's avoiding the slow-starting Benetton as we join Villeneuve in car as both the Jordans drive by. Häkkinen is leading Coulthard round the first corner. And back with Villeneuve, who is passing Hill's Jordan for 4th place. Ralf Schumacher is in 3rd, whilst Michael is having a go at Fisichella on the approach to the first chicane. The Italian and the German are side by side, but Giancarlo is unable to stop Michael from getting by. Race order: Häkkinen, Coulthard, Ralf Schumacher, Villeneuve, Hill, Irvine and Michael Schumacher in 7th. On board with Michael now as the Ferrari pilot rides the curbs through the corner and passes his teammate who runs wide. Häkkinen is out in front, but David Coulthard is not far behind in the second McLaren, while Ralf Schumacher is keeping them in check. Ralf is ordered to push, but it's his brother who takes up the order. Schumacher is having to drive his Ferrari to the limit. As Ralf takes the first of 2 scheduled pit stops, with most of the other teams opting for 1, it will have to be quick. The race is between the frontmen Häkkinen and Coulthard as they approach half-race distance. Lap 26, and Mika's in for his one and only stop. As the McLaren crew set to work, the Finn will be hoping that there are no problems. David is caught in traffic. That won't help him stay in front. It's the Scotsman's turn now, but he's overshot his garage, adding precious seconds to his stop. The team have done a good job, but can he get out in front of Häkkinen, who is tearing down the straight? It's a race for turn 1, and Mika takes it. Häkkinen is leading with Coulthard right behind, but the Williams of Jacques is closing. Problems at McLaren. As Irvine chases down Fisichella and runs wide at the chicane. Häkkinen has to run his car lean, says Ron. Villeneuve clears his vision, keeping the pressure on the 2 McLarens, but it's the last lap and Mika wins. Coulthard is 2nd and Villeneuve is 3rd. Hill comes home a triumphant 4th and Michael Schumacher a disappointed 5th. Hockenheim is Mika's 2nd consecutive win and Michael could do nothing to stop it. It's another 1-2 for McLaren and a 5-6 for the Schumacher brothers. Adrian Newey has shown he's appreciated, whilst Mika gets a pat on the back and a thumbs up. But can McLaren keep it up?
Hungary is basically opposite than Hockenheim. It is the circuit carrying a lot of downforce. So you need a very good power from your engine and good balance for your car. And we got it.
Mika certainly has got it. McLaren score their 5th 1-2 of the season, while Villeneuve's first podium finish and Hill's maiden points push Michael Schumacher down to 5th and Ralf into 6th. After 11 rounds, Häkkinen has a 16-point lead over Schumacher, with Coulthard in 3rd and Irvine in 4th. Wirtz and Villeneuve round off the top 6. McLaren lead the Constructors' League with 118 points. Ferrari are 2nd with 92, while Williams are back in 4th. The Hungaroring Budapest for the Hungarian Grand Prix. 3/4 of the way through the season now, and Mika Häkkinen starts round 12 with a 16-point lead in the title race and pole position. David Coulthard joins his teammate on the front row, whilst Michael Schumacher is half a second off the pole time and starts 3rd. Countdown to the start, and off they blast. Häkkinen is away well. In car with Irvine, Schumacher is laying down the rubber. Down to turn 1 and the field filter through. Häkkinen leads, Coulthard is 2nd, Michael Schumacher is 3rd, Irvine is 4th, Hill is 5th and Villeneuve is 6th. Eddie Irvine is out early in the race with gearbox failure. No such problems for Schumacher, who is pressuring Coulthard for 2nd. Lap 25 and Michael is pitting in for his first stop. DC has a wild moment as he negotiates a corner but manages to collect it. Schumacher's out of the pits but stuck in 4th place behind Villeneuve, as Mika Häkkinen leads the Hungarian Grand Prix. Schumacher's passed Villeneuve, but now has Coulthard in his way.
Catching traffic, I want him in this lap.
Pronti, tutti fuori, tutti fuori.
Ross Brawn is deciding to try an alternative strategy by bringing his driver in early in an attempt to outsmart McLaren. It's a lightning stop. Ron Dennis is responding by calling Mika in early in a bid to keep track position. The McLaren pit crew are working as quickly as they possibly can, but will it be quick enough? Schumacher's flying down the straight, being willed on. And he's through into first position to the cheers of his team. Mika is now 2nd and David Coulthard is 3rd. It's all gone wrong for Dennis and McLaren, but the crowd are happy. The race is not over yet. Schumacher needs to pit again, but the McLarens can run to the end. Jean Todt is clearing the way with the help of Eddie Jordan and Ralf Schumacher as Michael storms round. Lap 52 and on board with the German. He tries too hard, running wide and losing time, but no damage done. Hakkinen is lapping slower and holding up teammate Coulthard, the Scotsman eventually getting past. Mika has radioed in. He has a serious handling problem with his car. Lap 62 and Schumacher has a 29-second lead as he comes in for his final pit stop. The mechanics are working flat out to get the double world champion out in front of the McLaren. Michael exits the pits in first place with 5 seconds in hand over the chasing David Coulthard. Jacques Villeneuve is now passing the wounded McLaren of Mika.
The best place is on the straight.
Advice for Hill, who is passing Hakkinen and is now up to 4th. Michael Schumacher is lapping the stricken McLaren and goes on to take the checkered flag and his 5th win of the year. Joy at Ferrari. David Coulthard comes home second. An astounding win for the Ferrari ace.
I mean, you dream about the ideal result, and that was one of the dreams I had, but the maximum I was thinking to achieve was being first and make a second. What happened today is absolutely ideal for the championship.
Ideal indeed as Michael washes away the trials of the last couple of races. Historic Monza is the venue for the Italian Grand Prix, home of the passionate Tifosi and Ferrari who both have something to celebrate this weekend. Michael Schumacher is on pole for the first time this year, and it's the Italian team's 600th Grand Prix. Jacques Villeneuve lines up beside the German on the grid in second, whilst Mika Hakkinen could only manage third on a drying track. Apprehension mounts as the 22 drivers wait for the signal to go. Mika is off the grid well and is moving to the front. But an appalling start for Schumacher, who is dropping from 1st to 5th. Racing down to the first chicane, Hakkinen is leading the tightly packed field. Frentzen is taking to the grass, but they're all through safely. Schumacher is recovering, taking a position back from Villeneuve and moves up to 4th. Hakkinen is first, Coulthard is second, Irvine, Michael Schumacher, Villeneuve and Alesi. Schumacher is all over the back of his teammate now, and he's through to 3rd place. Mika is 4.5 seconds ahead of the Ferrari, but Ron Dennis can see Michael is catching quickly. Coulthard is passing the slowing Mika, whilst Hill is making up places with some daring overtaking. Hakkinen, who is second, is being caught by Schumacher. Nakano is all burnt out, retiring on lap 13. With race leader Coulthard now, and that's his engine expiring. He's pulling off the circuit, leaving a wall of smoke. Hakkinen is blind as he navigates his way through. And that's allowed Michael Schumacher to close right up on the fin, pressuring Mika to take a tight line into the corner, and the German has the speed as they come out of the turn. And he's through to lead the Italian Grand Prix to the delight of the Tifosi. Lap 31 and Ferrari prepare for Schumacher's one and only pit stop at the race. With a 9-second lead on Hakkinen, he will come out in second, but Mika still has to pit. Lap 34 and leader Hakkinen is suffering a handling problem. Pitting in now, his team have the opportunity to rectify it. Problem solved, Mika is now catching the Ferrari of Michael Schumacher. With Villeneuve now, and he's losing grip, coming out of the second Lesmos, and he's out. Schumacher is now coming around to lap Fisichella, but Jean Todt is taking no chances. The Ferrari's through, but Hakkinen is still pushing hard, pushing too hard, as his McLaren skates backwards across the gravel, spraying the track with stones. Mika has managed to keep the engine alive, but the spectators have other reasons to cheer. Their man, Schumacher, now has an unchallenged lead as Hakkinen resumes. Running off the pace, Eddie Irvine makes short work of getting past the McLaren for 2nd place. Schumacher Jr. can see a podium position and waste no time in taking it. While Schumacher Sr. wins his 2nd race in a row, teamwork paying off.
For quite a number of laps we were challenging each other. And then there was this tremendous engine blow, so we had both really to slow down a big time. He then lost it into the chicane, so I could out-accelerate him after the chicane into the first Lesmo, and that decided the race for me.
The lines are drawn. The championship is going down to the wire. Michael Schumacher, the winner and the leveller. Irvine finishing second to complete Ferrari's second 1-2 of the year. With Ralph on the podium, Hakkinen could only manage fourth. It's a dead heat at the top of the Drivers' Championship, with Hakkinen and Schumacher both on 80 points. Coulthard in third has the advantage in the Brits race. Ferrari in second are now only 10 points shy of McLaren in the constructors' standings, while only 2 points separate the race for third between Williams, Benetton and the Nürburgring in Germany is the stage for the Luxembourg Grand Prix and the penultimate round of the World Championship. Schumacher fans are out in force and Michael doesn't disappoint them, taking pole position. With Eddie Irvine alongside him, Mika Hakkinen has been pushed down to third on the grid. Michael Schumacher, equal points leader, knows he needs to make a good start. This could be his last chance as they leave the grid. Eddie Irvine's made a tremendous start and is inching ahead of Schumacher as they approach turn one. Ferrari first and second with the two McLarens behind. Not what Mercedes' Norbert Haug wanted to see. Fireworks in Germany as the field make their way around Dunlop Care. In car with Schumacher as Irvine loses it over the curbs. Michael has the speed and he goes through with the team's approval. Schumacher, Irvine, Hakkinen, Coulthard, Fisichella and Wirtz. Hakkinen is right with Irvine now and chasing. Tucked in behind and he pulls up alongside into the chicane and he's past the Irishman to the disappointment of the Ferrari crew. Mika is now second, over 7 seconds behind Michael as the German comes in for the first of 2 stops. Meanwhile, Hakkinen is really getting the hammer down. Schumacher's back out in traffic and is not helped by Verstappen. Ron Dennis waits for the Finn, who is now in for his stop. His well-drilled pit crew's set to work. Adrian Newey knows it's crucial if they are to get out in front of Michael Schumacher, who is on the pit straight. Jean Todt looks on as Hakkinen exits the pits and he's out in front of the German. Both are on the limit, charging through the turn. Ferrari are outmaneuvered. Further down the field, there's wheel-to-wheel action with Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Fisichella and Wirtz vying for position. Mika Hakkinen is still leading, but he has Michael Schumacher stuck to his tail. While the battle behind continues, and that's Fisichella running wide and allowing Frentzen through on home soil. Mika's using all the road while Michael needs a little more. Schumacher's in for his second pit stop and doesn't hang around. Back on the circuit and Mika's in the thick of traffic as Michael puts pedal to metal. Hakkinen's turn now and he's even quicker. Dennis is quietly confident. The Finn exits the pit lane as Schumacher bears down and Mika keeps his lead. That's a Jordan off track. It's Ralf Schumacher who rejoins the circuit. The German waves to the crowd as he tours in. His race is over with a terminal problem. Back with Hakkinen, who now has a comfortable lead over Michael Schumacher with just a few laps to run. In car and in first place, Mika Hakkinen is victorious, taking his 7th win of the year. The Finn blowing away Ferrari as Schumacher finishes in second place.
We raced here last year and David and me we were first and second running comfortably and we failed. This year I think Mercedes showed they can fix problems and they can be the best, and today they showed that and I'm glad it happened here. Really good job.
No problems for Mika with one race to go.
I would say Mika.
It's obvious, me.
Hakkinen!
Schumacher!
You are champion!
Schumacher! Hakkinen!
Well, I can tell you, Mika's the coolest person in the team at the moment. I'm in awe of his self-control.
That's what is the intention to target, to come here like a normal race, but obviously it's not.
But now it's a very important race weekend, so many things may happen.
We needed to find a second anyway. We have found here and there some time. Whether it's enough, we will see.
With the build-up over, it's time for business. The Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka is the venue for the final and deciding round of the FIA 1998 Formula One World Championship. A truly international series as the contenders shake on a fair race. Mika Häkkinen starts behind this man, Michael Schumacher. The drivers are lined up on the grid and Mika is eager to get away, but the start is aborted. The team's nerves are on a knife edge as the pit crews prepare the cars for the restart. Truly as the offender, he'll start at the back. And that's Michael Schumacher. There's a problem. He stalled his engine. Norbert Haug checks the procedure. Schumacher can't believe it. He knows the consequences, as does Ferrari boss Luca Di Montezemolo. There are mixed emotions as the drivers wait for the restart. The track marshal stands in front of Michael Schumacher's car as the grid leaves for their second formation lap. The Ferrari driver will have to wait before joining the back, where he will start the Japanese Grand Prix. Under starter's orders, and Mika Häkkinen takes the initiative, blasting off the grid. In car with Coulthard as Eddie Irvine and Heinz-Harald Frentzen get past. Häkkinen leads the field around the first curve as Schumacher charges from the back. Race order: Mika Häkkinen, Eddie Irvine, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, David Coulthard, Jacques Villeneuve and Damon Hill. And that's Schumacher on the attack, taking position after position off his fellow racers. Jean Todt keeps an eye on his progress as Michael passes his brother Ralph for 7th on lap 4. The going will be slow from here though, with the pack fighting their own race. Mika's still out in front and pulling away, as Schumacher has trouble passing his old adversary Damon Hill, who is fighting with Villeneuve. Damon's in for his pit stop as teammate Ralph pulls out of the race with a blown engine on Mugen's doorstep. Michael's now up to 6th and is pressuring Villeneuve for 5th place. He's got the speed out of the corner and passes with ease. Lap 17 and Häkkinen's in for his first stop. It'll have to be a quick one to get out in front of Irvine. And it is! The Finn is rejoining the circuit in front of the Irishman and retains his first place. The pit crew doing what they needed to. Schumacher is pushing, setting fastest laps. That mistake shouldn't cost him too much time. Back with Häkkinen, who's cruising at the front. Tuero's leaving his braking late, and into Takagi, throwing debris in all directions. In car with Michael as he passes the expensive Rex and onto the pit straight where his team wait anxiously. Schumacher's right behind Irvine now, and that's his tyre exploding. Surely his race is over. McLaren can't believe it as Michael Schumacher pulls off the circuit and onto the grass. Ferrari can't hide their feelings, neither can McLaren. Michael's 1998 championship is over. But the race isn't. Mika's still charging. Tyres smoking as 5th place Hill chases Frentzen for 4th with Villeneuve just behind. Number 1 driver Mika Häkkinen comes round to win the Japanese Grand Prix and the Drivers' World Championship in style, with Irvine bringing the lone Ferrari home in 2nd. But they're still racing for 4th position as Damon dives down the inside of Frentzen's Williams at the last corner of the race, putting one over on his 1999 teammate to give the Jordan team 4th place in the Constructors' title. Häkkinen fans are ecstatic, as is his wife Eija.
I don't know where to start to tell my feelings. Since starting Formula One 91, it has been a fight every year. It took a while, it took quite a long time, and now it happened. And looking all those times back, what we have done together and what we have achieved together in the past, you can be happy about it. Because there has been such a hard work for everybody. Here we are, we won the championship.
The hard work paying off as Mika, McLaren and Mercedes bathe in the glory. Mika takes his 8th win of the season with Irvine in 2nd, chasing him all the way. Coulthard is 3rd, and with Hill 4th, the 2 Williams drivers finish in the top 6.
All the red lights came on, and I knew when they go off, you have to go for it. They didn't go off, but the yellow light started flashing, and it was, you're so hyped up for the start, so I still went for it. And when I stopped the grid, all the mechanics was running to the car and checking everything, and it was not happening to the other team car. I was sitting in a car and I was looking my engineers what they were doing to the engine and in situation where we were, because the temperatures get really, really hot in a car, and you can feel it yourself, the heat coming from the engine. And that makes me understand, what our boys did again, our mechanics. It was fabulous work. They made sure the car is cooled down, the engine is cool, and that did not happen to Michael. So I suppose he had a problem with the temperatures of the engine or clutch or something like that.
World champion Mika Häkkinen there raising the question crucial to the outcome of the Japanese Grand Prix. What caused Michael Schumacher to stall on the most important race of the year?
The clutch closed itself and then it stalled, so nothing really we could do, and because of the high temperature I kept the RPM low, which was maybe a follow reason for that.
Starting from the rear of the grid, Schumacher carved his way through the field.
They couldn't keep me for long, so why not leave me through and let me drive my race? I have to say thanks for all those guys. Obviously, Damon naturally is not my best friend and would make rather things very difficult and a little bit easier. But in the end of the day, I don't care.
The debris from this accident between Takagi and Tuero on lap 29 has been suggested as one of the potential causes of Schumacher's tyre blowout. The flailing rubber damaged the rear of Michael's bodywork, but he wasn't sure the debris was the cause.
No, it just exploded the tyre. I don't know why. I didn't see any debris. I don't think I hit anything, but hard luck.
Schumacher thanked his team for their hard work.
They've been extremely unlucky in the most important race of the season. This is a competition.
And Ferrari boss Luca Di Montezemolo. The final driver standing shows that Mika Häkkinen beat season-long rival Michael Schumacher by 14 points to win the championship. Coulthard beat Irvine to third, while 1997 champion Villeneuve could only manage fifth, 1 point ahead of Hill in sixth. Frentzen and Wirtz have 17 points each and finish 7th and 8th, while Fisichella and Ralf Schumacher round off the top 10 drivers. A poor season for Johnny Herbert, winning only 1 point and finishing the year 15th. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren and Mercedes take the honours, their first in 7 years, while second-place Ferrari scored the most points in the history of the sport without winning the title. Bridgestone are the tyre champions, Williams are third, Jordan fourth, their highest ever finish, Benetton fifth and Sauber sixth. Formula One says goodbye to Tyrrell and Goodyear.
It's enabled me to earn my living in a business which I enjoy. Important of all, he won the race. It was like a cash register going on in his head. I wouldn't like to have to stop doing it.